Today's title of the video is the Trek Rail the greatest e-bike that's ever been made? Now some of you will say, yeah, that sounds about right, and you're probably Trek Rail owners, and there's a lot of you. And others will have just spat your cornflakes clean across the breakfast table, going, Lance, that's a pretty bold statement. Now to be clear, I don't have a Trek Rail, I've hardly ridden a Trek Rail, but you see, when all of my friends, we call ourselves Dad's Army, if you're not regulars to the channel, when they finally converted to the whole e-bike thing, what did they buy? Well, they bought Trek Rails. And if you know my friends, whatever they ride is the best. And given that most of them are riding Trek Rails, they pretty much all ganged up and decided that the Trek Rail was the greatest e-bike ever made. Now, I live in Auckland, and I would estimate that probably half of all e-bikes in Auckland are Trek Rails. They are that common. So I guess the purpose of today's video is to find out, is the Trek Rail the Ferrari of e-mountain bikes, or is it a Toyota Corolla? Or maybe even a Prius. Anyway, to be fair to the Trek Rail, I've decided to review the very latest, the very highest spec Trek Rail they make. Okay, that's not true. This is actually a Gen 2 Rail 7. But I figured that if the Trek Rail is really that good, then this bike will also be good. I like to thank Pit Crew on the North Shore of Auckland for giving me this bike to play with for a couple of days. This is actually part of their rental fleet, so they have a whole range of bikes you can rent, different sizes and different models, and if you like it, obviously you can buy. So I think it's a really good idea to try before you buy anyway. So anyway, why don't we take this Rail 7 out for a bit of a spin.
Alright, first up we're going to do a track called Handle the Jandal. We're out here at Woodhill Bike Park here in Auckland. It's a typical Auckland winter's day, windy, with sudden downpours of rain when you don't want them. So hopefully the wind's not too bad and you can hear me okay. Now when I was coming over, I always try and work out, things I can say about the bike, and I was thinking the Trek Rail 7 would be a really good sort of, Rotorua, forest loop or timber trail sort of bike, sort of cross-country bike for people who are not worried too much about performance. But since I've been riding this, I've actually been quite pleasantly surprised. It actually feels pretty bloody good, to be honest. I know I didn't really want to say that because all the guys will say I told you so, but actually for and this is only a 7, it actually rides really nice. It's a trail, I guess, ride a little bit less than some of the others, so I thought I'd mix it up a little bit for you today. Great thing about Woodhill though is it has rained overnight. In fact, it rained quite heavily 5 minutes ago, and yet look how dry it is. It's an amazing place to ride in the winter. Whoa, she's windy. Did have quite a fiddle around with the setup of this bike. I'm guilty of not doing that, but got the seat just where I want it, so hopefully shouldn't complain on the climbs. Nice flowy track, good way to start. Take the high line. Quite a fast rolling, I guess it's full on 29 of this one. Put my old pants on just in case I buzz them on the jumps. But anyway, that is Handle the Jandal.
Hey guys, I've got a bit of a confession to make. I was really not expecting to like this bike, and in some ways I was really kind of hoping not to like it. But actually jumped on this thing and felt very much at home straight away. It's got a low and a high setting on this thing, and I think this is a size large, so it's a 465 reach in the low setting and a 64.5 degree head angle, and that felt really natural and perfect for me. So I really enjoyed the handling of this bike. As I say, I will give you a brief rundown of what this bike does have. As I say, it's got the Bosch motor, it's a 625 watt hour battery, still got the Purion display on this one. It's a 160 up the front with some domains, a Deluxe Select 140 air shock out the back, full 29er, it's aluminium, XTR derailleur with an SLX shifter, So brakes, SLX, although I believe I looked on the website and I think it came with the Shimano M6000 series. Not quite sure why this one's got SLX, but they were really good. So Yeah, it's not a high-end bike, but it's certainly not a low-end bike, and I was genuinely surprised at how well the suspension actually performed. But I guess we need to give it more of a test, so let's find something a bit steeper.
All right, time to step things up a little bit. This one's called Rowdy Neighbour, and although I said it's pretty dry, this is one of the wettest spots in the forest, although I've seen it wetter actually. Guess the wind's drying it out. Oh, that's gonna need to wash the bike now. Doesn't have a mud guard either, so if I get mud on the lens, just give me a quick yell and I'll clean it for you. Alright, this should be a better test of the suspension. It's fairly steep, it won't look it on the GoPro, but it's pretty steep. Woo. That was good fun. Be interesting to see how much travel I used. Most of it, I'd imagine. Boy, bit of a nice little jump here. Whee! Oh, mud, mud, mud. Woohoo! Oh. Have to remember the track's change, turns left, not right. Trying to hear if the bike's, whoa, gotta keep on line, go off the edge, all good. Trying to hear if the bike's making any rattles, but it is actually so windy, all I can hear is the wind noise. But it seems on the whole fairly quiet actually. Bit of a drop here, woo! All right, and this is a bit you just hang on, this is a real good test of suspension. Woohoo! Whee! Oh, that's rough. After that downhill run, not bad. You can see the rear shock, not quite all the travel, and same with the fork. So not bad to a perfect setup, really. All right, so I guess you've got to have a climb. Some of you want to know how it climbs. Don't usually worry too much in my reviews about climbing, but it's got the Bosch motor, not a new motor. Pretty familiar with the old 85 Newton meters. Generally it's going to get me up here no problem at all, so I'm pretty confident of that. And given the geometry, it's very similar to my own bike. I'm imagining it's going to feel pretty good to climb as well. And obviously the big 29 wheels should get over all this sort of techie rooty stuff without too much drama, I would think. Okay, well I didn't show you all of climbing up Stitch Up, but anyway, it flew up here no problem at all. Been riding in EMTB, which is what I tend to ride mostly in all the time. This can be difficult sometimes, although if you watch one of my videos, I actually got up here on a road bike, so and it's actually surprisingly dry there today. The wind is just drying everything out pretty quick, I think. So yeah, a good old climbing bike, that's for sure.
All right, this next bit, I don't really know whether I should do this. It seems a little bit unfair to Trek. Normally when I review a bike, I don't talk about faults with the bike, the sort of faults people have had. And the reason for that is usually I've only had one bike, had it for a couple of days, and I'm not aware of the faults, so I can't really tell you them. But given there are so many of these and so many of the guys have got their Trek rails, they haven't all got away scot-free. So I'll tell you some of the issues they've had. Number one of the guys broke the frame down through there. I think it was only on the second or third ride the frame cracked. To Trek's credit, they did swap it out for a carbon frame. It was an aluminium and they gave him a carbon one. So that's pretty good customer service. Had lots of electrical faults, battery connection faults, bikes cutting out, all that sort of thing. And there's quite a few of the guys have had those problems. They seem to have all, on the whole, been put right. And so, yeah, on the whole, Trek I should say, have done pretty good, I think, on their customer service. Let me know, anyway, how you've got on. Have they looked after you? What sort of problems you've had, and have they fixed those for you? The other thing, the battery does pop out the side on this one. And in the early days, I think they've solved that problem now, is the batteries would pop out mid-ride. And one of the guys did that and rode straight over his battery. They have put a fix for that. So if you've got one, then you've got a strap around here holding your battery, and Trek have got a little plate that they can put in there, so go and see your dealer and that can be sorted. The main problem though that I think every single one of the guys just about has had with their Trek is popping rear spokes. As Zach said, they're made from rolled Play-Doh.
What have you done, mate?
Yeah, simply just, it's one of those Trek money things.
Trick as though the Bontarage cheese rims.
No, the rims are good, but the spokes are made of rolled Play-Doh. And
I don't know.
Do you like my handiwork?
Broken spoke, eh?
Yeah, mate.
That must be a Trek, is it?
Trek money.
So if you do get one of these and your spoke breaks, I think the simplest thing is just go back and just get the whole wheel rebuilt with some stronger, better quality spokes. And once that's been done, I think the guys have all been pretty good. So as I say, probably a little bit harsh on Trek, but as I say, because there's so many of them, I am aware of a lot more problems that the Trek has had. But on the whole, it seems that Trek have done a reasonable job in sort of dealing with those problems. But anyway, I'd be really interested in the comments to let me know how you've got on. Anyway, bikes, e-bikes, any test must have a jump in it, and I normally do the Howgood, and so anyway, let's take a run of this down Howgood.
Alrighty, I guess must be jump time, and that means Howgood time. Oh, actually, it's quite poppy. Alrighty, guess we better try it on the big drop. It'll test the suspension out. Oh, that wasn't bad. That wasn't bad. Super windy today, but hopefully not going to affect us. It actually jumps really well. Whip. Oi. That is good fun, actually. All right, let's get the last one before the rain comes. Oh, hey! That was cool. Let's get out of the rain.
Alright, so in summary, is the Trek Rail the greatest e-bike ever made? Well, of course it's just an opinion, but it's, for me, no it's not. I did really enjoy riding this bike. In fact, I was pleasantly surprised how much I enjoyed riding this bike. Couple of things. One, did I buzz my bum on the tyre? Just once, but I did do that. I tend to do that on 29ers. Did I pedal strike? Not once. Not once did I hit the pedals on the ground, which is really cool. Big 29er, rolled really fast over everything. It jumped really well, it handled well, and as I say, the suspension, despite not being the super deluxe suspension, worked really well. And same with the brakes and the drivetrain. I really didn't have any issues with this bike at all. So why is it not the greatest bike of all time? Well, I guess it depends how you define the greatest bike of all time. But if I look at the sort of top 3 or 4 bikes I've reviewed that had that real wow factor to them, like this is just amazing. This isn't one of those bikes. Saying that, if I look back at the bikes that I really did enjoy, most of them were over $20,000. So, you know, I guess have to work out, is the best bike of all time, is money a factor in that? And maybe it should be. This bike, as a matter of interest, if you do want one, again, I'd like to thank Pit Crew and the North Shore for lending me this bike. They've got a couple of these for sale, brand new, with warranty, everything, for $7,800. I probably, by the time this video comes out, they'll have actually been sold, but that's a pretty damn good buy for a brand new bike with a warranty, with a pretty reasonable spec on it. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope this has answered the question for you. Was the Trek Rail the greatest e-bike of all time? But anyway, if you've enjoyed the video and you haven't subscribed, there'll be more. I'm looking at doing a few other reviews coming up as well that you might be interested in. Love it if you subscribe. Thumbs up, really like hearing your comments on this one. How have you got on with the Trek Rail? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think it is the best bike of all time? And if not, well, we'll see you on the next one.